listening to the RM Podcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another fine, very, very fine episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian,
and Keith Cheatham. How'd you like that? It kind of sounded like a little bit of like Max Headroom going on. Maybe a little more stuttering, you know.
I wasn't getting that at all from you.
I know, I needed more stuttering.
Stuttering.
My Max Headroom. Y'all don't remember that, do you? Sean knows that. It's
yeah,
an 80s.
I know what you're talking
It's an old
about.
80s,
I just
it's
don't
Back
feel
to the
like you're
Future.
doing it well. Yeah, it's in that.
Back to the
It's
Future
also
2.
in
Oh, it
Ready
is?
Player One.
Yes.
Oh
it's
yeah,
in
they
Ready
do
Player
make
One.
a that's
Yep.
true. But I think it's funny.
But I
'cause
mean, I
always
remember
thought,
MTV. Yes.
I always thought that Max Headroom was
VH1.
played by Ed Begley Jr., which is incredibly wrong. But
yeah,
he does.
It
I
is.
think,
But I do.
think
There is a resemblance.
I think
yeah.
there's a resemblance. You know, because his head's all digital, and he's got those weird like, it's not really hair on his head. You know, can you pull up?
It's
or-
hair, but it's just.
Do you have your iPad? Can you pull up a picture of Max Headroom? There's no reason to bring up Max Headroom on this show. There's nothing about him on
But I
this
mean,
show.
it is hair. It's just a weird. It's like
It-
they're in
yeah,
rows.
exactly. And it looks
Not
like
cornrows, but
yeah. Don't
you
be
know.
cultural appropriating.
Yeah.
Now, okay.
No.
Come on now.
Cannot say that.
But
All right, hold on.
he's pulling it up.
Yeah, I
he's
got
looking
it.
for
It's
it. But
just-
we got a great show for everybody. We got
Here we
three
go.
major headlines.
Here we go.
Oh, you do? Yeah. See,
Yeah.
that's so
Max
bizarre.
Headroom.
That
It
looks-
was the 80s,
But
man.
look, it even looks yellow, like like it was a weird
He has
pasty
blonde-
color.
Well, it's because
and-
it's supposed to be like. Here's another one. Because it's supposed to be like a
Okay,
bleach, like a blonde bleached.
Oh,
look,
never mind.
and
It does
just-
kind of look like cornrows there.
Yeah.
It kind of does.
Yeah. Here's a better. Well, here's
see it.
that's actually a more.
That's a
Like-
that's a meme-ish.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Version.
that's actually that's what he's supposed to look like.
Memeish.
That's the actual like
yeah.
hand drawn
Hey.
version. But
He was supposed to look like he did when it came out. That was the artist's creation.
yeah,
All right, enough about Max Headroom. Let's talk about movies. We got a great review coming for everybody this week. It's piggybacking off another popular WB release, which was Zack Snyder's Justice League. Believe it or not, that was only about a couple weeks ago.
it was.
And now here we
Now
are,
it's old
another
news.
major mega release, Godzilla versus Kong.
Yep.
One of our huge headlines this week is that it's been an amazing success.
It's
And
decimating everything.
possibly is putting the theaters back on track.
It's giving people hope, which is
Is the
kind
pandemic
of funny,
over?
but still,
Is it done?
It's got people shutting up about.
I
Other,
got my shot.
Other
I'm
than
ready.
the Zack
I'm
Snyder
vaccinated.
fans.
Send me back to the theaters.
Both of them or just one?
Just one.
No,
my
you're
third.
not fully
my.
vaccinated.
Well, then you're
Well,
not.
that's
Yeah,
true.
that doesn't mean nothing.
You mean I can
You're not
still
safe until
spread
you
the
get the-
disease?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Can I catch it?
Yes,
Yeah.
until you get the second dose, your body's not fully built an immunity to it.
I don't believe
immunity.
that. I feel like, you know what? I'm good enough. I wear my mask. I
yeah.
socially distance. Put me back in the theater. Give me my
Well, you
AMCA
can
list.
Go back to the theater; they're open.
That's true. They've been open for a while.
They just have
Which is
nothing
the
to
thi-
show.
Well, I was going to say, that's the whole point of this Godzilla versus Kong.
It's
Finally, are we on a streak of having releases? Are studios going to have faith enough that people are returning weekly and will
I think
continue
it-
to boost these numbers?
well, we're going to get into that with the headlines. We don't want
Sure.
to dive into it too much right now.
Right.
But I mean, we do have the review of the film. It's gotten a lot of praise from critics and fans. It's made tons of cash. So it's one we definitely wanted to see anyways because we like watching giant monsters beat on each other. But do we agree with all of
I
the
think we got some
critical
split
cheers
decisions.
and all of
Split
the
decisions?
Maybe. I think so on this one.
All right.
Okay.
Well, let's
We'll
let's
have to
roll
we'll
it.
have to hear the review, but I also want to promote our Vices topic coming up later in the show.
Mm.
What vice?
Vice.
Vices. I added that breather in there
Yeah.
way back originally
Way.
because I thought we were going to talk more about cigars when we did the Vices topic.
We'll get there eventually.
We'll have to. We have to
someday.
start reviewing cigars on this show.
We've got plans. We just
some
never.
cigar
We just gotta follow
aficionados.
through with them.
That's right.
Hashtag.
One day.
Someday.
Someday, yeah.
Which, talking about
Sounds like
Miss
a split
Boyd,
decision about that.
hey, Erin Boyd, one of our RMP. Well, she's an employee, I would say. She works for
contributes.
us and contributes. Constantly stays in the know. She reached out and said, "Hey, I feel like I'm part of pop culture because I watched Godzilla versus Kong." And she's only about 5 weeks from being, having a little.
I don't
baby
really
pop
understand
out
why,
being a
though. I mean,
mama.
she watched all the Transformers movies, so I'm just
Gonna
like,
pop right out.
it's not like she
Just
doesn't
pop
watch
out, you know?
things.
She true.
She just felt extra special about watching that one.
I think she
guess.
because again, Zack Snyder, the
No,
Justice League
yeah.
cut. I know, but still,
Yeah.
if you missed that wave of pop culture, now you got this one to catch up on.
That's
and this,
true.
This is another
Hey,
big one.
this has pretty much silenced all the Zack Snyder talk, except for from the extreme fanboys. But they're never going to shut up about releasing the Snyderverse. But I mean, it has
you know what?
kind of
But we've
overtaken
moved on
that.
from that, and hopefully that will die down. And maybe with the release of this
I
film,
don't know. Now
I tweet it 6 times a day.
I was saying
not
now,
going
he always
now,
makes sure it stays
now
up
Joe
in the
Manganiello
Twitterverse.
is tweeting out like he wants his own Deathstroke film or series on HBO
Oh,
Max, and now he
gosh.
keeps posting tweets to get fans to support
Oh,
him,
no.
so
That would
he
be a
gets his
better
own movie.
series. That would
probably
that
would
would be
be.
a better series, I think.
Well, all I know is that's not happening. Snyderverse isn't happening.
He doesn't have to be part of the Snyderverse. He still just wants to play the character.
We'll see.
That's all he wants is to still play the character.
Well, you know what? We're moving on to the MonsterVerse. We've already talked about it enough. We've built
Yeah.
it up. Let's
Well,
go ahead and let's roll into that review. Here is our review officially of Godzilla versus Kong.
Theaters have more or less been dead for the past year, and studios continue to release films to streaming platforms. Audiences have begun to get a little stir-crazy. While studios still worry whether or not people will return to the movies, Warner Brothers and their latest release are proving that yes, people are ready to go back. Godzilla vs. Kong, released this past Wednesday to much fanfare, has gone on to rake in more money upon opening than any other film released during the pandemic. With praise from fans and critics alike, and released also on HBO Max, allowing people who didn't go to the movies a chance to still see the film, does Godzilla vs. Kong live up to the hype? Directed by Adam Wingard, Godzilla vs. Kong is the fourth film in Warner Brothers' MonsterVerse, the shared cinematic universe featuring Godzilla, King Kong, and the rest of Japan's Toho Kaiju. After teasing and setting the stage for the giant monster throwdown in both Kong Skull Island and Godzilla King of the Monsters, Godzilla vs. Kong begins with Kong being kept in a biodome after the storm surrounding Skull Island has begun to overtake and destroy the island itself. Watching over Kong is Eileen Andrews, played by Rebecca Hall, a scientist working for Monarch, the organization tasked with monitoring Titans in the last few movies. Also with Kong is Jaya, the last surviving native from the island, a deaf girl who has formed a close bond with Kong. When Godzilla begins attacking Apex Cybernetics, a powerful tech company working to build a weapon capable of stopping Titans, Apex fast-tracks an expedition to obtain a power source for their new weapon that they believe can be found in the center of the Earth, due to the Hollow Earth theory introduced in previous films, explaining where Titans come from. Apex hires Nathan Lynn, played by Alexander Skarsgård, to lead a team in search of the energy residing in the Hollow Earth. Lynn recruits Dr. Andrews in helping him by relocating Kong from Skull Island to an Antarctic entrance to Hollow Earth where he can lead them to the power source. Before Kong can reach their goal, however, they are attacked by Godzilla, waging a 1,000-year war between his and Kong's species to claim dominance of the Earth. What leads from there involves spoiling the victor of said war and Apex's weapon, though most fans already know what weapon director Wingard has chosen to introduce in the film. Likewise, as Wingard himself promised, there is a clear winner between Godzilla and Kong, though don't expect it to amount to much when the mechanical terror unleashed by Apex arrives on screen. The movie is first and foremost giant monsters beating the tar out of each other, and that's all I or most fans really wanted. Sadly, it's what we are given the least of, making Godzilla vs. Kong a bit more tedious than the previous films. Wingard introduces a lot of ideas that would be right at home in the campy Toho Godzilla films, and truthfully I greatly enjoyed seeing some of the over-the-top sci-fi elements, and was excited about all of the mythos Wingard brought in from the original Japanese series. Ideas such as the Heave Shuttle and Hollow Earth, which was built up to in the previous films, and the war between Godzilla and Kong, also heavily teased at in the previous movies, with the narrative of a single Alpha Titan being an impressive idea that came from otherwise poor movies, and the same can be said here. The ideas are fun and cool for the nostalgia brought to fans of the original Toho films, but sadly, fan service is all most of it amounts to. The film is far less grounded than its predecessors, yet still too scared to go all in. Instead, what we receive is a film with wacky ideas mixed with realistic ones in an attempt to find a middle ground, making for awkward scenes that aren't campy in a fun way, but instead just cringe-inducing. The jump narratively from King of the Monsters to Godzilla vs. Kong and what humanity can do technologically is vast and in no way believable. But instead of embracing how far out of the realm of believability these things are, the film tries to explain them poorly. Add into all of this a bad script and dialogue, which all of the films outside of Gareth Edwards' Godzilla are guilty of, with the ridiculous things on screen, and the only things left to root for are the fights, which is truthfully all anyone cares about anyway. Except even those felt a bit lackluster in this film compared to the previous entries. Godzilla vs. Kong is a fun movie. The effects are truthfully well done, as were the previous films, and the fights are still fun to watch. But being no more impressive than what came before, the film is a bit of a letdown. As a fan of the Toho series myself, I was excited by much of the ideas the film touched upon, but sadly it attempted too many ideas and overcomplicated a movie that only had to be as simple as two monsters bludgeoning each other for over an hour. While I still enjoyed the film quite a lot for what it was, and critics and fans alike are praising it, I can't in good conscience say the film is particularly good. I give Godzilla vs. Kong 2.5 out of 4 stars.
2.5.
2.5.
2.5.
And here's the thing, because critics have given it great reviews. Audience, it has like a 90-something% audience score, which, I mean, I get that. It's like it's giant monsters beating the tar out of each other. People are going to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
But my problem was, I honestly feel like it's the worst out of all 4 movies. And it's not that I didn't enjoy it, because I did enjoy it for what it was, and I appreciated how much it brought in from the original like Japanese Toho series. But the fights to me were lackluster compared to the other 4. The plot was even dumber than the other 4.
Yes.
Can we all just go on record real quick and just ask? I want to ask across the board: are we just writing off the story completely?
Oh yeah.
I don't think any
What
of us
story?
care. Exactly. It's like
There's not a story. Well, heck, even
there
King
is
of,
one.
King of the
It's
Monsters
just
had
very
a-
poorly developed.
Here's the thing: King of the Monsters has like a 40-something% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's the lowest rated out of all 4. Critics bashed it. It does have a terrible story. I honestly thought it was a much more enjoyable movie than this.
Now, what's it have an audience score?
I would have to look that up.
I just want to know, because I always find it curious that critics are delayed when they jump on the hype, express. And they did this with the Marvel films. I kind of talked about this after you recorded the review. It's always funny how the critics catch on to pop culture a little bit after it's happened, and they think, oh, well, Marvel movies are good popcorn flicks, and they still hold like a pretty good, storyline. So we're going to actually get on the bandwagon here and start rating them well.
It has an 83% audience
yeah.
score.
See, and that matches up.
Overload.
Oh, uh-oh.
Yeah.
It's that dreaded KGB spy network. It's not working, man.
Won't work.
Not working here in the
Won't
States.
work. Yeah, it has an 83% audience. Actually, King of the Monsters is not a good movie. I don't want to say it is, but I did like it more than this because at least the fights between Rodan, Mothra, Godzilla, and King Ghidorah were amazing.
Yeah.
You had 3 of the biggest characters from the Toho series. You had Godzilla, King Kong, and Mechagodzilla. Spoiler alert. I know I didn't mention him in the review, but
I showed it all over the
it's
place.
like, it's like anybody who didn't know at this point he was in the movie just wasn't watching any of the marketing because, I mean, it was fairly obvious. But
Yeah.
it's like you had these 3 massive, like basically the top of the top.
It's
And
not
the fights were
robot
weak.
Godzilla. It's
No, it's
Mechagodzilla.
Mechagodzilla.
That's right.
That was
That was
terrible.
a dumb line.
That was terrible.
It's like, is
It's-
Robo Godzilla? No.
I know.
He's
That's
Mecha.
No, you got to say it with
Godzilla.
an Australian accent, though. That's
I think it's New Zealand.
Godzilla.
Was it New Zealand?
The,
Is
it,
he
was
New
the, it was the
Zealand?
fat kid from
The
Deadpool.
fat kid
that
can
said
act.
that.
Oh, that's
he's
right,
New Zealand.
yeah.
I think he's
He
New
can act.
Zealand. Yeah.
Well, I think he can.
I don't like him.
I know
I don't
you,
like
you
him.
all don't.
The
I think
only
he's
thing
all
I
right.
thought he was hilarious in was Deadpool because he was supposed
Yeah.
to be annoying
in
in
freaking
that.
Christmas Chronicles, no.
Well, that was different.
I
Okay,
know,
okay.
but
That
I'm
was
just-
absolutely.
He's only done
that
3
was-
movies.
Yeah, well,
He
that
was terrible
bad.
in that movie, but it kind of worked, I guess.
I thought he was
So-
just bad in this because again,
It's a
nobody
bad
was
movie.
real.
Well,
Look, everybody wanted to
I mean,
see.
is there something in movies you have to have a comedic fat kid? to be.
I think
well,
so.
they wouldn't.
You alys have to have a fact.
They wouldn't
check
say
there.
that it
Yeah,
corners that
true.
market, even though it does.
It does. There's
We'll have
always
to
a fact
wait.
comedic
We have to
character.
wait until the Academy's official checklist of do you check off all these diverse ethnic groups?
It's not fat
And-
people's
and
turn to
that's-
be offended yet. We had to get through African Americans,
they have.
women, Asians. It's not fat people's turn.
No,
yet.
maybe not fat males, but fat females. It
Okay,
has
yes,
been.
but that goes hand in
no
hand.
body shame.
That goes hand in hand with the feminism aspect. We haven't. Yes. Well, first of all,
Plus size for all. Why are you body shaming? Okay.
they haven't had a whole movement and speech about it on stage yet.
Oh, we just lost so many viewers.
We don't have any fat women watching this show. They don't watch this show. I don't care. I don't care who we offend.
All right.
We're not PC. The fact
Here's-
is this movie
Here's the
sucked
thing.
in terms of story. I wanted more action because the action itself. Look. I'm tired.
What did you give it?
I gave it 2.
I gave it 2 also.
I
Okay.
gave it 2
Just wanna
because
See, I actually thought you were going to be lower, because the way you had talked, I thought you just absolutely hated this.
I mean, I
movie.
lost brain cells trying to keep up with the movie.
Yeah.
But I did like the fight scenes, and I did like the visuals. I mean, the visuals are amazing.
right. Hard to get wrong nowadays.
I
But yeah, well,
I would
unless
watch.
you're, unless you're, Joss Whedon.
I would honestly, I would watch it again, but again, I still watch the original Toho series because I mean
Yeah.
I enjoy the. Here's the thing though, I enjoy the campiness of the Toho series because they embrace it. That was my biggest problem with this is that they still they introduced all these things that are not possible that even based off the other 3 movies don't really lead into the possibility of them being able to do any of these things.
yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, okay, we're going to do all this stuff that hasn't even been possible in our own cinematic universe yet. But instead of embracing the wackiness of it, we're going to try to make it believable, but we're going to do a terrible job and just say everything happens because it has to happen.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I just wish ultimately they would have spent less time and less focus on overall this entire story and plot. I just feel like they tried to cram way too many characters and way too many perspectives to try to force this narrative of, oh, they got to meet up and they've got to have a reason to fight, and then there's got to be this other reason for Mechagodzilla to come out and they team up against him. And I'm like, look, we don't need all of that.
Yeah.
I understand that you all think it has to be that cohesive, but it really has to be and I think, and I know I'm nitpicking because truthfully, obviously, critic scores and audience scores who watch this and
Both
who are
like the
fans,
movie, yeah.
they both like this film. I would have preferred it and liked it a lot more. 2 things: been less plot and less story, less exposition, more action, and honestly, I just wanted the set pieces. To bring up an example, I remember way back watching Lord of the Rings and the special, documentaries on the DVDs, and I remember that when they were talking about the Battle for Helm's Deep, and they were having to plan it out, he said it's organized chaos, and he's like, it looks like it's a battle, it looks like a war, and it feels like that on screen, but we have an intention of how the battle is going to flow from point A to point B to point C
Right.
to the end. That to me is what this movie lacked. I didn't mind the cool visuals and the fighting of the monsters. I loved it. But I just wanted to see, truthfully, I just wanted to see it be streamlined a little bit better and not just, oh, it's only cool because Godzilla and Kong are fighting.
Well, half the
I wanted
plot,
it to be,
Yeah.
a little bit more
Yeah.
pieced together.
I say half the plot was explained by the director after the movie had already released. And I'm like, if you have to, as the director, explain to people what was going on in the movie rather than them watch the movie and understand what's going on, you did a poor job directing
yeah,
the movie.
Yeah, and I read a review that actually stated that this movie felt like that there was a lot missing, like that there was a lot of
Are we going to
scenes
get
that
the
were
Wingard
cut.
cut?
So, I don't think so, but it did kind of insinuate that there was, a lot that was kind of left out of the film that makes it feel like there's missing pieces. And I'm like, well, then, maybe you should have focused on putting those pieces in and less fighting, jumping from battleship to battleship.
Put the pieces that make sense in and take out all the crap with Millie Bobby Brown because none of that plot.
Well, it's like Brandon said, they introduced new characters and they have all these characters, but they sideline all of the characters from the last movie.
Well, and then they don't even tie up anything other than the fact that they somehow stumble upon information they think you need to know to bring the plot together and bring it full circle. And I'm like, I don't care.
No.
Yeah.
I really don't. I don't care that these kids find this thing that somehow ties in this story
Well, they
element.
basically
I just didn't give a damn.
accomplished nothing
Yeah.
the whole movie other than pouring water on a computer. And I was like,
Right.
you could have cut out their whole entire subplot and spent more time
Okay.
making the battles better or other
Spoiler
stuff.
alert, I also hated. Spoiler alert, turn it off if you haven't seen it. I don't know why I'm spoiling this. This movie doesn't deserve a spoiler.
It was
alert.
spoiled when it started.
True. But I hated the way in which they controlled Mechagodzilla. I thought it was stupid. I didn't like that it was. I didn't mind the psychotic or the psychic nature of it. I didn't like that the way the design and him having to be in the bone skull
inside the skull.
Yeah, I was like, this is stupid, and it's like it shows them hooked up.
It's a skull.
Yeah,
it's a dry bone. Like there's nothing left alive. There's no cells. There's no DNA. It's just. I mean, Brian pointed out, he was like, well, maybe it was the bone marrow. And I'm like, now we're digging here.
I love how he gives it the benefit of the doubt, but then there's other movies where we try to, and then he'll be like, "No, that's stupid."
Yeah. He said the movie was full of conveniences.
Yes,
and I agree with that.
Absolutely,
100%.
Kong just happening to find the axe instead of like making it himself, and it happens to fit in this keyhole. And I agree. Well, like you said when we were talking about it, how they shipped off the information on the energy and they just got it on a computer. It's like, oh, now we can replicate
told Keith
this.
I had to go back and watch it again because I was thinking that was a plot hole.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, they need the energy to be able to make Mechagodzilla mobile. Otherwise, he's tethered the whole time. They don't have enough power to run him. And I'm like, so the whole point is for Skarsgård to go get that rock and bring it back so they can put it in Mechagodzilla. And so Mechagodzilla takes off. I don't know if I fell asleep or what happened, but I completely missed the part where they just downloaded the information and recreated that energy. And I was just like, so how the hell is Mechagodzilla even powered to go outside of that chamber if they never got the rock to him? Because they used the rock to bring Kong back to life.
Right.
There are a lot of things. I mean, like I said, even as goofy as it was, I liked the heave shuttle because I felt like that was something straight from Toho. I enjoyed all the ideas surrounding Hollow Earth because I thought that was something that would have came straight from Japan too. I just didn't think it was implemented well.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of things that I really like as a nostalgic fan. I was like, oh, this is a really cool idea.
I want to go back to,
but they don't really implement them the best.
So
is
King Kong and Godzilla the only two left of their kind? Out of all of Hollow Earth?
I don't know.
According to these movies.
Well, but they could easily, I think, branch out of there and showcase Kong in Hollow Earth and then finding other Titans. I mean, you see him.
Well, he does fight another Titan while he's there.
Right.
But
So
I'm just talking about
like
Godzilla
ape
specifically.
Species or Godzilla species.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Because there are other Titans, but we're led
But
to believe that
Godzilla
and
is
Kong
singled
are
out
class of their
specifically in Kong's throne room or whatever it
Yes.
is. Godzilla's carved out on the floor and
See,
lights
and
up and
that
everything.
was
Okay,
public enemy number one.
And
you know?
two things I hated. The axe being convenient. I honestly wanted to see him rip a scale off of Godzilla and
make
use
it.
and make the axe. And then I thought that would have been way cooler. And the other thing was Godzilla shooting through the earth all the way down there. I thought, what? He just created that huge hole all the way to Hollow.
But he can't kill Mechagodzilla?
Yeah.
That's true. The atomic breath couldn't go through Mechagodzilla, which
It'll
is made
drill
of
a hole
Earth
to the
metal.
center of the Earth.
To be fair, I don't think it ever shows him shooting the atomic breath at Mechagodzilla and it striking him because their beams
hit each
and
other,
then
But a man-made laser is more powerful than atomic breath that can drill to the center of the Earth.
Hey, it's full of conveniences. Okay, I don't know.
I would have honestly. I think if this movie had fights as good as or better than the other movies, I would have been happy to give it 3 stars.
Agreed. Agreed.
Not because the plot's good, but because that's all I really wanted.
Yeah.
Well, and I can't say I was really bored throughout the movie.
Oh no!
But there were moments like I really didn't care for, or if it had went down in a different way, the Godzilla and Kong fight on the ocean. I just didn't. I thought that was a little bit hokey. I didn't like that. Kong was handicapped. We clearly see Kong destroy Godzilla once he gets on land.
If you drop, depth charges down there, it'll only hurt Godzilla.
Right,
They don't hurt
right.
Kong.
Yeah, they don't hurt Kong at all. But see, and that's the thing. I wanted some more. That's where I wanted all the focus and the thinking to go into, not the exposition and the
just
story.
Them fighting,
them fighting.
We
and I
don't
wanted
need
it to be
an elaborate excuse to get them to fight.
Right.
Just give us
give us an elaborate excuse of when they're fighting and
already
how they get out of it.
They already set up the idea of alphas in King of the Monsters, like with Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. So it's like you already know that Godzilla's there can only be one alpha, so he's got to take out Kong. That's all the reason we needed. We don't need to have all this other stuff going on.
Agreed. No, I completely agree. Alrighty, guys. Well, there you have it. That's our review of Godzilla versus Kong. It obviously, a lot of people are still watching it. again and again on HBO Max.
I would watch it
They're
again.
restreaming it.
But again,
Yeah.
that's kind of nostalgic. Like I would watch the whole series again just to watch it beginning to end, and then I'd probably just go back to the original Japanese
But I mean,
ones.
in reality, though, on HBO Max, between Godzilla and the Justice League, or Zack Snyder's Justice League,
Mhm.
sorry, what else is there? Like, what other huge
oh yeah,
Wonder
movie
Woman
can you watch in
84.
your... Huh?
that's not on
Wonder
there.
Woman
Anymore. They're only on there
No.
for 30 days.
Yeah.
But it
that's
is
right.
actually, I think it's out on Blu-ray now, so it might be back. We'll have to check. It will be coming back to HBO Max.
Oh, that's right. So they're off until they come out on video, and then they go back.
they're
on
only on there for the they're only on there for the
Stupid.
theatrical window.
They gotta make
Okay.
money.
And then after the theatrical window's up, they're not on there until.
But the theatrical window itself is streamlined just because of the way I guess
Yeah. It's
certain
just...
theaters are open.
It's hard to not cannibalize your own
I
product.
I don't think Sean will agree with me, but I did like Godzilla vs Kong better than Zack Snyder's Justice League. So
I agree,
Mm.
actually. Oh,
Yeah, I didn't-
Sean,
I
you got
didn't-
well. You gave it 3 stars.
Yeah.
You have to disagree.
I liked... if it wasn't for the crappy story, if they would have given it a little bit more story, I probably would have liked it better.
Okay.
But I liked I liked the 4-hour story of Zack Snyder's
Well, see, I
Justice
definitely
League.
think that's the reason a lot of people are tuning into this one several times over. For one,
They
it's
can
Well,
watch
you
this
can watch it-
twice.
well,
in
in the amount of time that you can watch Zack Snyder's
Yeah.
Justice League.
And I mean, really, you could watch it 4 times because if you watch the black and white version after you've watched the color version, you know,
Just
I
the
mean,
same-
you're not a true
same movie,
fan
same movie,
unless you
just in
watch
black and
both
white.
of them.
That's right, and watch that extra Joker scene at the end. You have to see.
well,
it.
no, they didn't put it.
He
Even though
actually does
I
give
thought
Batman
they
a
did in
reach
the black
around.
and white version.
he hinted that it might be in there.
gives them the
He-
reach.
It shows him give the reach around.
He hinted that it might be in there, and then when it released, there was no extra scene.
There's nothing else.
They ended up putting that scene online for people to see.
Oh,
Yeah.
but that's stupid.
Yeah.
It's like, thank you, Zach, for getting people's hopes up.
Yeah, and thank you, Zach. This is what we have to expect with the Snyderverse. Okay, this is what you're gonna get: a bunch of teases. I'm not going into it. It's Drew Snyder.
I think
Man.
we
Done.
need to see like what's coming next in the MonsterVerse. I want to know.
We'll have to find out.
I mean, it's been a successful film, so
They
I find
didn't
it hard to
really,
believe
you
that.
know,
They didn't really
there
leave
was
this
no
one
end
open.
credit scene
Yeah, they
like there
didn't leave
was in the
anything
last
open.
film, so they didn't really leave anything open for a
Yeah.
sequel. But
Nope.
you know they're going to.
Well, as successful as it's being, I can't imagine that they would be like, yeah, let's not make any more.
True, especially I would agree. I think now it's kind of in question of what angle do they go,
Yeah.
and do they continue this storyline or
Yeah.
do they? Because I don't
There's
know. I
tons
mean,
of other like monsters and ideas from the Japanese series they could use. It just depends on where do they want to go.
well, and
with
we
it.
kind of had that issue too with this film in the sense that because of the issue with the main characters and what like Vera Farmiga didn't return.
Well,
She's dead.
She died. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
The way, exactly. The way that did she end up dying in the other
Yeah.
film?
In the
I
other-
can't remember.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
she does.
I couldn't remember, so I googled it. It's like, okay, she did.
She does
did
actually
in that
die.
one.
Yeah.
So really,
that one made sense, but the other actors that didn't return, it's like
well, and not only that, but they even the
She had to die. She wasn't redeemable
that's true.
because of what she had done. She was
I don't
irredeemable.
know.
You
Yeah.
haven't, yeah.
They had to kill her.
But ultimately, I also think the other characters they introduced are not interesting enough to continue with.
No,
Rebecca
told them,
Hall. I didn't mind her.
The new like main bad guy, the owner of Apex.
Exactly.
Yes.
I was like, he's the Dasakis guy. Like I kept waiting for him to say,
no, he's not.
no, he's not, but he looks and sounds just
I was
like
gonna
him.
say.
I was waiting for him to.
It's like I don't always
don't
make
always.
a mechanized Godzilla, but when I do, I drink Dos Equis.
Yeah, he did. He was just like
just-
the Dasakis
It's
guy.
like I
was
thought
what
they
the
had a
hell?
great villain with like King of the Monsters with, and I'm gonna have to look his damn name up. I can't remember the guy from Game of Thrones.
Tywin Lannister.
And he didn't come back for this one. And I was like, I guess they couldn't get him back. They replaced him with the Dos Equis
Well,
guy.
and it was also another bad role for who played the Crimson Prince in. Well, I call him that, but I know that's the Dark. Is it the Dark Tower? Is it Crimson King? Not Prince.
Crimson King wasn't in the Dark Tower.
Whatever Randall Flagg is.
He's just Randall Flagg.
Oh,
You're talking about Skarsgård.
Skarsgård.
Yeah.
He's not called that in the Dark Tower. I don't know.
No, the
It's
Man in
Stephen
Black.
King.
He's just he's called the Man in Black for.
Is
a
there a
little bit.
Crimson King? or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. He's the main villain. That's who
Oh,
Flagg works for.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got that wrong. I thought that was
no,
Randall
Flagg works
Flagg.
for
Okay.
the Crimson King. Yeah,
But yeah, but basically, yeah, Skarsgård. I didn't like him in this either. I
No.
thought he was bad in The Stand.
He's
I
had
thought
a
he was
bad-
bad in
he's
this.
had a bad
Pointless.
run.
He's right now. He's about one step below Ezra Miller for me.
Oh.
He's getting
Wow.
there.
Well, Sean was bringing up like not just the Stand in this, but Sean mentioned he was in the horrible Tarzan movie. Yeah,
Like he's not done many. I mean, I don't really know.
I think he's just a handsome-looking guy, and they hire him, and then it's
but
like
he has been in other stuff that like he was acclaimed for. I don't remember now. I have to Google
maybe
it.
for like a side character. I
He
don't
was
know
in.
of anything.
I think he was in a series that like he got a lot of praise for. I don't
Maybe
remember what
that's what it
series it
is.
was.
Alrighty, guys. I think we're ready to move on to our headlines because we got a lot to get
We
through.
do.
It's a
We
busy
got
week.
Quite a bit of headlines there.
Let's roll that big, beautiful open here.
Excuse me.
Oh, that added a little flavor.
Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
In some countries, it's considered a compliment. That's right. It's our headlines this week. What are we talking about first? Well, none other than Godzilla versus Kong. I mean, we already teased it. We've been talking about the review.
It's raked in its opening more money than any other movie that's been released during the pandemic. And I think, it is a sign that people want to go back to the theaters.
I just have to say.
They've been waiting on something epic to go see in theaters because, they didn't put, well, they did, but they pushed Wonder Woman back.
I think it was Godzilla and Kong versus the box office, and they won.
I understand it.
Wow.
Here's the thing. Going in, I would have wanted to see this in IMAX. Now that I've seen it, I'm kind of like, the fights and the visuals were awesome, but they weren't as good as the other movies. So I kind of would have been disappointed, I think, seeing it in IMAX.
Yeah.
Really?
So-
I think it would have been better. I actually would go see this again in theaters. I would go watch it in an IMAX because I will say, cut
But you
the
haven't-
I saw all
trailer.
the other
but you
ones.
haven't seen-
I saw the other ones in theaters. I
It
did
wasn't
go see it,
beautiful.
too.
And they were amazing. I loved them.
See, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I just editing together the footage for the trailer. They're like, I'm not gonna lie, I hated the boat scene. I thought it was stupid in terms of physics.
Yeah.
But as far as spectacle, it was amazing,
Okay,
and I would have loved to have seen
Why
that in
didn't they
IMAX.
just helicopter him all the way to Antarctica? Why did they?
have to put
boats
him
and
on a
all-
boat?
Why did
Well,
they
that's the
put him
thing,
on boat?
because before they ever take him off Skull Island, Rebecca Hall tells them that as soon as we take him off the island, Godzilla will come for him. So let's put him on a boat because we know Godzilla lives in the water.
Exactly. And then they end up helicoptering him to
Yes,
Antarctica.
they take him from
It's like,
that moment.
why
They-
don't-
yeah,
It's like, why didn't you do that to begin with? But
because we needed a fight scene to fill up a half hour of the movie.
that's exactly what it was.
God.
So yeah, obviously, Juveniles wrote the film, but the fact is Juveniles did a great job because it's a stellar hit,
Well,
and
hell
now
yeah.
it's
WB.
making Warner Brothers money.
Get
Yeah.
two 12-year-olds together and they're just like, what if he did this? And then what if he put his hand in the mouth and just like, what would he?
And the
Then he
executives
has
are
an
like,
axe.
that could work.
Yeah.
That does sound like something that's like, and then all of a sudden Kong has an axe.
Yeah.
That's how it happened in the movie.
And then he,
all
then
of
he
a sudden he
drinks
has
a
an
Red
axe.
Bull and then he gets like superpowers. It's just like you could have went anywhere with
Okay,
this.
and what was the girl from Baby Driver? I forget her name, but the actress from what was her whole subplot? That was stupid too.
From Baby Driver.
She's
Oh,
opposite
yeah.
of
She's, Ham.
Yeah, John Ham.
John Ham, yeah.
She's his
She
girlfriend.
was Dos Equis' daughter.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't understand
know
her.
what her-
I don't want to go back to the review. I just
Yeah.
it was
Go
another
back,
yeah.
subplot where I was
Yeah.
like,
Went
She
nowhere.
literally she was sent to get the energy for him, and that's how they got. If she wasn't there, it wouldn't have gotten uploaded to them.
oh,
They would have not known how to make the energy.
okay. So
Yeah.
all I'm saying is when Kong crushed her ship,
Yeah.
it was a
that was
funny
awesome.
scene, awesome, and I was like, that sums up that entire subplot.
Right.
It's just done like that. But anyways, all right. So the real question about this is, we've got theaters that are open in New York, theaters that are open in LA. They actually are the reason why this movie did so well. It was already doing well in China.
That's
overseas.
why nobody wanted to release movies until those theaters opened.
Oh, I
in
know.
California and New York.
And that's and we rightfully said those are the biggest markets of which you're gonna have competition. You're gonna have that struggle of having to say this actually makes it worthwhile to put a movie in theaters. And now that they've opened and now that they've proven their point, and even still, I mean, look, $284 million is not huge when you think about an actual. I mean, because this movie probably costs on the order of $200 million to make.
yeah.
So,
yeah.
but when you consider pre-pandemic, I mean, Wonder Woman 84 was the last movie that beat the record, and it only opened, I think, at 41 million.
Yeah, because it was terrible though.
Well, and a lot of
true.
people agreed because they didn't watch it again.
I mean,
and
like,
again.
here's the thing: we're
and they didn't
bashing,
go on Christmas.
we're bashing
night to go
Godzilla
see it.
versus Kong, but most people do think this is a good movie. Nobody thought Wonder Woman 84 was a good
True,
movie.
and I think the positive buzz definitely helps,
Yeah.
no doubt. But I'm interested in seeing, because we have, you even said, Mortal Kombat being pushed back
A week, yeah.
for a week
Yeah.
because of this one
They
being
want to
so
allow
successful.
this. Yeah.
And we're now going to be reviewing Chaos. I'm forgetting the name.
Minari? and then
Minari,
Chaos Walking.
and then Chaos
Chaos Walking.
Walking, and then the Oscar show, and then we'll be reviewing Mortal Kombat since it got pushed back an extra
that
week.
might actually be the same week. It'd be kind of funny to review Mortal Kombat the day we're talking about Oscars.
Well, I mean, they're gonna get the Oscars are gonna get annihilated like a fatality because the ratings are gonna be so god awful.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
want to show like the worst speech that they give at the Oscars. We'll just put it up on the TV and just put finish him or her. You know?
Yeah, and then they turn the music off.
It's like I just want to see like the 2D
So now they
Sub-Zero
turn
come
the
out.
mics off though. Now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they cut their mic now.
It's like, oh, well, you guys shut up now.
Yep, you're
Here's
done.
the thing, though. I want to watch that because I want to see who gets their streaming camera shut off, which is going to be all the smaller awards. That,
Oh no!
And then-
They said they have to be there. That's one of the rules.
oh, they actually have to be at
If
the
you're a
Oscars?
nominee, you have to show
I
up, and
said
they're
that.
worried about that.
I said that, and
Yeah.
and you all kind of disagreed and said that you thought it would just be like.
I
through
thought it
just like,
was,
yeah.
but the
I
fact
really
that
thought
they're
that-
making them show up in
I
person.
thought they would do that because the Oscars are that pretentious.
Are they going to be wearing masks?
They have to.
Oh, no doubt. I have no doubt.
The Oscars are that
They said they
pretentious
put
that-
up which we're going to get into that. That's our third headline.
Yeah, okay.
But I want to kind of go back to Godzilla versus Kong in the box office. We've got some big movies coming out. And we even talked about how after Oscars are over, we've got a slew
Starting in
of
May-
I was going to say summer box office is looking great.
And hopefully they keep them there because they've shown people have a willingness to go back. I mean, if you show them, they will come. You know,
I love
yeah,
that.
show the movies because they will
I
come
agree
back.
completely.
And we're that was great. I agree. So no doubt, I think the box office is back. Even though you could sit there and say that yes, this is not something that I don't want to give too much false hope because we still need the movies to come out, and I don't want studios to get scared.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not normal. We still need the box office. It's getting there. But we need the box office to keep inching up closer and closer to get people to be
And I
more
think
comfortable and
it
going.
will as long as they keep the big movies like slated to release. Like the more they keep panicking and pushing them back, it's like, well, then people have no reason to come back to the theater if you keep postponing all the movies.
Yes.
And for those that are interested, this is also they've got raw numbers that are suggesting that about 3 million can be attributed to the streaming.
Mm-hmm.
They said it's been very popular on HBO Max, but if they attribute 3 million, that shows you that streaming in and of itself does not give such a huge dent in the numbers with regard to the overall box office. It's still the number one way to go is to the movies to make your money and get your money back for your investment. But with that being the case, could that also open the door for more movies like this to release both in theaters and on streaming? Because of the success it had in theaters, along with that.
It's going. I think maybe later in the year we can maybe get an idea if that would be feasible because I think you would have to have a chance where movie theaters are pretty much fully open and everybody's going back and showing the movie on streaming to get an idea of, okay, if there's nothing hindering people from going to the theaters, how much will streaming impact the movie going? Because right now, I think there's too much of a variable. We already know that people aren't going because of COVID.
Yep.
But if they could choose between the two, how does it impact?
Yeah. Well, I even like the article that you shared earlier about the Justice League and how whether it was a positive thing for HBO Max and how they broke. I mean, they did a really good job. That article did a good job of breaking down all the different factors that go into. Well, if it's streaming on HBO and it's not in theaters, like how do we rate that? How do we decide whether this is a positive thing?
How
is
do we
it worth,
tabulate it?
Yeah, is it worth spending the money on more movies like this or whatever? And I feel like it when you have it streaming like that, you have all of these new subscriptions and they factor all of that. How many new subscribers did it bring in? How much money does that generate? And it looks like that it does. You know, you kind of think, well, how do you take a $200 million movie and put it on here for free, or at least for people who are paying $12 a month? Because that's what HBO is, isn't it? Like right around $12.99 or something a month.
I think
it's
there's
like 15
I think there is a
Is it
free
more?
ad supported
Yeah.
now,
I
but
think it might
not
be a
but
little
on the
more.
ad supported one, you don't get
get
any of
these
the
movies,
right?
Yeah.
but you
so
get the option to buy them or rent them.
Yeah, right.
And I forget how much it is to
But
rent.
are they making their money back, you know? And
Right.
it's like if everything's tabulated the way it was in that article, it would almost seem that Justice League would make at least the 84 or 5 million that they
invested
in it back. But on a movie like a $200 million movie like Godzilla, how does that work?
Well,
You know?
and does this call the bluff that everybody was accusing? Everybody was absolutely knives out, including us here. We were kind of a little pissed, and I think it was mainly because of how abrupt it was. But when WB announced that their entire 2021 lineup was going to be releasing theaters, and
It may not be their entire lineup anymore, though.
well, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. But my question is specifically about how they were the ones that came out early, got ahead of the game, got ahead of the gossip. They announced that, and they made that choice, and we were giving them. I think a lot of our frustration was because we were like, no, the pandemic's ending. We're not. We don't want another year of this, careful tiptoeing around whether or not we're going to be stuck at home or in the theaters. It's like, no, we were these bastions of hope for the theater of like, we want to get out of our house. We want to go back to the theater. And yet here we are. We've kind of enjoyed, the ability to watch it at home without having to go out. Not health reasons, just because it's not as convenient.
It's
and
been
yet,
easier, but I would much rather go back to the theater.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
But
if
are
it's
we
available
now
for streaming where I can watch it now, like for Godzilla again, if I could, I would much rather watch that at home for free, and decide whether I want to drop $20 to go see that in IMAX, rather than just dropping the $20 and going and losing brain cells. Like.
Even though we would have,
and I would, based on the visuals and just the the fights alone, I would still go.
And
see
we
it.
might have enjoyed it even more if we had money in the game. Like if we had actual skin in the game, we might have walked out and said that wasn't bad. $20, that was okay. But I just think it's interesting because I'm like, because of the success and the large amount of success that has been found on the end of Godzilla versus Kong at the box office, the real question here is the fact of, okay, did they strike gold in making this deal? Because $3 million in streaming, if they can only tie that much into it, now granted it may drive traffic to streaming now since it is more popular, and they've said more and more people are rewatching it because it's on streaming. Which is just repeat viewers, and they would probably love to have that money in the box office.
Yeah.
But because they've offered that convenience, can't they say, well, see, we tried something, and it's working out for both people at home and people who want to get back and see some spectacle in an IMAX theater?
I mean, Justice League brought in tens of millions of subscribers, new subscribers, according to that same article. So it's, I think releasing the film to streaming is going to drive new subscriptions. And you're going to get people that are like, well, man, that was pretty nice sitting and watching it at home. If they've got 5 more movies coming out this year that I can sit watch it, I'll keep my subscription. Then you've got other people that just did it to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then they're going to cancel as soon as they're done watching.
That's like the reason a lot of people speculate that might be also part of the reason they moved Mortal Kombat back, even though Warner Brothers said so, is so that you don't have so many movies in the same month, so that people are forced to have to pay
to keep it
that
for
monthly.
more than 1 month.
Because if you pay for 1 month and you get Zack Snyder's Justice League, Godzilla versus Kong, and Mortal Kombat, it's like, well, crap.
Well,
yeah,
and
so
that's another reason.
That's
another reason I got to give credit to WB is at least they had a slate full of movies this year where it was evenly spaced, and they were all movies that people wanted to see and were anticipating to see. Space Jam's trailer just dropped this past week. And I saw it all over Facebook and social media, and of course everybody's got their own opinions, but it's like that's another huge release coming this year that we're all on the WB bandwagon, and it's like they got ahead of the game in announcing this strategy. People were pissed about it, but now it seems to be playing out in their favor.
Yeah, and Yosemite Sam is in it.
Yeah,
he didn't get canceled yet.
No, the only one canceled was Pepe Le Pew.
Yep. Dang, I know. It's tragedy.
Stupid rapist skunk.
I feel like all right. Well, Keith, you already kind of hinted at it there, but our other headline, still continuing with WB and Legendary Pictures.
Yeah, now they're not even sure that Dune's going to go to HBO Max. And here's my thing with that. I want to see that in theaters. I will go to theaters to see that because that is what I want to. So it doesn't bother me if it's only in theaters. My thing with that is you've already promised all these movies on HBO Max,
including Dune.
Yeah. Yep. And that's going to feel like a slap.
And they still include it in their promotional.
Yep, it's in their it's on all their promotional material. That's going to feel like a slap in the face to HBO Max subscribers when you say, "Oh, well, because that one's poised to be a huge hit."
Now that we're making more money this other way, we're going to screw everybody.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's why a lot of them are holding off on it, and it's I think they're trying to angle it as, oh, well, because we've got the director Denis Villeneuve.
Yes. Well, even
and
the cast.
even Legendary Pictures are talking about suing Warner Brothers.
Yeah, they're not
because
happy.
they want it to just go to theaters. But it's like, if WB's already made this deal, and even if they can say, oh well, to avoid lawsuits, we're gonna just go the way of the theater. That could be their way out.
They're also the co-production company for Godzilla versus Kong, and they didn't throw a fit about that one. It's just Dune because of how anticipated.
And that's
Dune
the thing,
is.
that because everybody is drawing that correlation of the fact that it only made around $3 million due to streaming, and it's like, well, if you already have that, then why not offer the film on both?
Yeah,
you really don't have an argument or a case for not offering
you're
it.
still gaining. I
Yes.
mean, that's $3 million you're still getting. I know that's chump change,
right?
But still, it's chump change you didn't have,
and it
so go
could
ahead and
easily
do it.
bring aboard fans that might not have checked out Dune otherwise.
Yeah, here's the thing. It's like, yes, it's very highly anticipated, but that is, again, about fans of the original, the books, and sci-fi fans. But, I mean, the average audiences, I don't feel like are fully aware of what Dune is other than the original movie.
Well, I was going to say, there's a difference in the creature, huge splash flick like we just saw with Godzilla versus Kong, and Dune, which is like an intricate, novel.
It's a little bit more niche.
Right. And I mean, look, we were all excited about Tenet last summer, and look what happened to it. It didn't resurrect the movie theater business.
No. It just,
and that's part of the problem that I think we're facing with some of these, smaller, very niche movies is it's like, is Dune going to be that successful on streaming? Maybe not, but it may get people interested and actually want to go to the theaters to see it for those who may not want to. But they got a few more months to figure that out, and who knows if it ends up on streaming or not. But I think I'm in agreement with you all. It's like, it's a slap in the face if you don't include it at this point.
It's one of those things where I want to see it in theaters, but that doesn't mean that you should screw over the people that aren't going to when you've already promised that it'll be on HBO Max.
Yep. Alrighty, guys, moving on to our third and final headline. We are talking about Oscars. That was beautiful, Keith. I love that.
I just always think of I can't think of the guy's name. I'm terrible at thinking of actors' names today, but he was in Arrested Development because he does the magic.
Jason
stuff.
Bateman?
No,
Oh.
his Will Arnett. He does the magic stuff to that song every time, and it's hilarious. He comes out on stage he's like, yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Well, our third and final headline is about Oscars. Of course, they're coming up here, but who the hell are the nominees?
Nobody knows.
We've already talked about that. We've got that on another show.
Here's the thing. I have to admit, looking back at it, it's like most of the nominees, they gave limited theatrical releases. They didn't put them straight to streaming. So yeah, no average audience member knows any of these movies because they've all been so limited because they're so artistic and they're Oscar contenders, so they have to uphold the integrity and have those theatrical releases. It's like, good, but now nobody knows what the hell you've nominated.
No, we were like, there was something that popped up on Netflix the other night. My wife was just scrolling through to find something to watch at bedtime, and I said something about this one. I don't even remember what the hell it was, and she was like, it says 2021 Oscar nominee, and I'm like,
what?
No, it wasn't. Like, I'm trying to think.
Let me
I'm
go
like,
look at the list again.
Maybe documentaries or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't recognize the
title
at all.
And it's funny you
like,
bring
what
that
the
up
hell?
because that's exactly what the poll that Variety they got data from. I forget this poll research group, and they were reporting it, and they basically went through all the Best Picture nominees, and they just put it in two categories: heard of, not heard of. And they rated 1,500 consumers who would consider themselves typical, normal, consuming
the
entertainment
Netflix
comment.
originals were heard of, and none of the others were.
Well, no, actually, far be it. The Judas and the Black Messiah, which is a Netflix one, was
that's HBO Max.
or that's HBO Max. That one was the highest ranking, most known one.
I believe that.
At 46%, and they steadily declined there.
I would say that one and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom were probably two of the
Ma,
bigger.
yeah, actually, Ma Rainey's I think was like third. I'd have to hold on. Let me look it up because I've got the list here.
But I guarantee you, nobody knows what The Father or Minari is. Even Nomadland, most people probably don't know what that is.
Here we
Yeah,
go.
pull that
The
list
list. The list is, it's looking like Mank was at 18%, which is Netflix.
Yeah.
Sound of Metal, 23% people have heard of it.
Oh, I
The
see it.
Father, 24%. Minari, 24%. Promising Young Woman, 34%. Nomadland, 35%. Ma Rainey's not even on there. because
think
it wasn't
got a,
it wasn't
got
a best
acting.
picture.
Yeah, it wasn't a best picture.
That's
yeah.
right. So
No,
Trial of the
instead
Chicago
we
7
got-
39.
Instead, we got that.
Right, but that was also a Netflix one. So, like you said, the streaming ones were the more well known, except for like Sound of Metal,
Yeah.
which that was an Amazon Prime movie,
And I believe
it
that
didn't
because
get.
I feel like even though Amazon Prime has made a lot of great stuff, I feel like it isn't just as most people don't realize its original content as much as like Netflix. I feel like
Yeah.
So-
Well, and Netflix, because I think you have a larger pool of subscribers, and they do a great job of any movie like that coming out. It's plastered on the front page for at least 2 or 3 weeks.
So
Yeah.
here
So you know it's something Netflix is really wanting you to watch.
my thought kind of around this is obviously, the pandemic made this much worse where nothing was available on streaming, so people don't know what's out there. But I feel like this isn't just because of the pandemic. I feel like this is a trend for the last couple decades with the
Yes.
Oscars where everything has to be either it has to promote whatever they're promoting, their
Social agenda.
Right.
or it's very artsy and like when you look back at like the 90s, even the early 2000s, and all the things before that, it wasn't uncommon for the most popular and highest grossing film to also like, okay, Forrest Gump, Saving Private Ryan,
Gladiator.
Return of the King,
Yeah,
Gladiator.
Gladiator.
Those are all massive movies that everybody saw, made tons of money.
Titanic.
They won Best Picture, and they deserved it. It was not
Yeah.
just because they were the highest grossing, it's because they actually deserved it.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, in
Well,
the last
that's what I
couple
would like to
decades,
do.
you got these smaller films that nobody heard of that promote a certain agenda that are now winning.
I feel like
Best
those.
Picture.
I feel like it even started with films like Slumdog and Hurt Locker.
Well, and
Like
even
those were films that a
well-
lot of people they were well received,
Mhm.
but they weren't.
they were
huge
indie
box
flicks.
Yeah,
office
they were not
successes.
huge,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And it's funny you bring that up because I would agree that was the trend in the later 2000s. It
Mhm.
was like you saw indie flicks come up through the ranks and get nominated and get winnings,
Mm-hmm.
and then it would usher in this kind of after
then, yeah,
audience
people
because
would
people would go back once it
and
was
watch
put in
it.
theaters
Yeah.
to watch it and say,
Yeah.
"Oh, the best picture's
I
worth watching."
didn't even hear of Slumdog Millionaire
Till after it
and
won.
then after it won, I
We saw it
watched it and
before
was
it
like,
won.
man, that was a
we did, but
fantastic movie.
we saw it because we were kind
We
of
already
looking.
knew
We knew it
was
was
a nominee.
nominated.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about it is it wasn't until I would say around the time of Birdman and
Mm-hmm.
onward that it really truly became not only
Not
decisive
the movie
picks,
Onward.
not the movie
Yeah,
onward. Yeah, not the that was a great movie.
I'm still pushing for that. for
I
an
know
Oscar.
I am too.
It's not going to win.
Me and
It's
Chris
not gonna
Pratt, the only
win.
two guys pushing
It's,
for it.
it's not going to win.
No, it won't.
It won't win. But the thing is I really think around the time of Birdman, it started to dwindle in terms of the popularity of the movie actually matching with buzz around normal audiences
Yeah.
goers. And it's not to say that a film there can't be a hidden gem that nobody hasn't seen. It's like
Yeah,
I would
that
I would
happens.
contend with The Artist being a great Best Picture winner,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people think it's one of the weakest in the last
Well,
decade.
even we
2
mentioned
decades.
Slumdog Millionaire. I think that one was a hidden
I
gem.
thought exactly.
That was a hidden gem.
Yeah.
But then the Oscars, that was something that was great at that time, was that the Oscars sometimes exposed hidden gems, and then fans would find the movie and
Yes.
love it. But now that doesn't happen. People hear about these movies, they don't care.
Right.
And then when they do check them out because it wins Best Picture, they're like, why did that win Best Picture?
Right.
And I've
Yeah.
heard that from several
Shape of
people
Water.
that, they'll be like,
Gosh,
why
one
did-
of the worst. That and Moonlight are literally the
Yes.
worst. And I've seen Variety and Hollywood Reporter put
Yep.
out this garbage articles of the best pictures of the last 10 years.
Yep.
And Moonlight and Shape of Water will be up there. And I'm like, those
'Cause
are
of the
garbage.
wokeness.
Terrible.
Exactly.
And here's the thing, though. And then they wonder, well, how come the ratings slip every year? It's like, well, one, nobody heard about the movies. Nobody liked the movies. And then you all stand on stage for 5 minutes at a time or longer spouting nonsense that nobody
Got
cares
your bully
about.
pulpit.
So it's like, yeah, the ratings are slipping because all you do is promote movies that you think further your agenda.
But it
Yeah.
is interesting because I think this year is going to be telling because I think like what you were talking about with the pandemic, it's just the last nail in the coffin.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this has been sped up because of the pandemic, and so you saw it with the well, I don't even want to talk about the Grammys. That was just I don't want to go there. But you saw it with the Golden Globes
Yeah,
and the fact that they got their worst performing. They went from 18 million viewers last year, which is already abysmal,
Yeah.
to 6.9 million.
Nobody watched
That's on the order of
We
like
didn't even watch it.
professional wrestling.
Oh yeah.
Like pro wrestling gets better
I'm
ratings than
saying,
that.
we're,
And that's not to say I like WWE. I want to see them do better than the Golden
we're
Globes.
film commentators, and we didn't even watch the
Hell
Golden
no.
Globes.
Well, we mock it every year for that reason. But I think you're seeing people become like the more and more down to earth that people have to become because they're forced to because of something like the pandemic, and you're not as worried about the things that aren't critical. It's like, yeah, we looked to movies and shows and binge watching last year, and subscriptions went through the roof because we were trying to take our mind off of the craziness in the world. But that's what you realize it's all for. It's an escape.
Yeah.
It's not about a hoity-toity celebrity getting up there on their soapbox
I
who's
like
richer than
hoity-toity.
anybody who will be, who truly is the 1%, up there talking about, virtue signaling, telling us how we need to live our lives as citizens. And I think people are just tired of that crap. And so I think this year's nominees, it was already a slim pickings as far as the field goes. You can go back and watch our show with regard to the nominations and which ones we liked, think
Yeah.
are worthy, and which ones aren't. But ultimately, I'm not looking forward to this year's Oscars.
I'm not.
I think it's bogus how they're doing
It's-
the whole, the virtual Oscars.
Oh,
and
how
they're-
you
they're-
have to
you
attend?
have to attend. I
I knew
think
that was
it
coming
is.
because they're
It's
they're
stupid.
too pretentious. They're like, we're so prestigious, you have to be here, and it's like, are you really that prestigious anymore? When nobody
Right.
turns to you, used to you did look to the Oscars and the Best Picture winner, just like, okay, these are some of the best films of the year. We need to check these out.
Yeah.
That's kind of why we went on our mission earlier in the year to view a lot of the Best Picture winners, because for a time,
Yeah, and I think that's the sad thing that we're starting to see is again, the pandemic has just hastened these, what were considered cultural
people
goalposts.
blame the
They're-
pandemic.
They're just
for
now
things.
something you can put on social media the next day
Yeah.
and maybe pick a few little elements of like, oh my gosh, didn't this happen? And then it's like, who cares?
We see a lot of blame being put on the pandemic for things, but I don't think the pandemic caused a lot of the stuff that's happened. It just
sped it up.
Yeah, it just expedited
Yep.
the process.
Yep.
It just exposed the disease that was already there.
And that's why we're seeing, I think, a return to the theaters in the major way, like something with Godzilla versus Kong and all these other summer blockbusters that we're looking forward to. Because not only are we excited to get back to the theater, but it's going to take those type of movies to get us back to saying, oh, wow, this is what we've been missing and this is what we've been looking forward to. And I hate to say, at least not right now, it's not your small indie flicks.
Yeah.
It's the big budget blockbusters that
Yeah.
we want to go back and see.
Yeah.
It is the popcorn flicks. We want to escape again, and we want to go back to that. So it'll be interesting to see how the Oscars shape up. Obviously, we're going to be tuning in.
Yeah,
we
we'll
watch it. And, of course, we've got our special noms that we're all pulling for, specific ones. But who knows? Who knows what'll happen?
The
You guys got your
few
list?
that are actually good.
Got your list ready?
I'm gonna watch Minari first, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna make my list.
Same
Okay.
here.
Yep,
Same
yep.
here. All righty, guys. Are we ready to move on to our vices?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to burp.
Nice.
All right, let's move on to our vices. I got him. I got him
Keith
on
over
there.
here. I don't know what
I had
he's
to.
doing. He's
I just
He's just
had a
like,
little bit of
wait, he's
coffee.
waiting. Do that again, Sean.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing over there.
I just love. He's trying to vogue
He's
now. That's the real
That was
key right
Godzilla.
there.
Yeah. No, that's Ezra Miller's Trash Can Man.
That's true.
Yeah, there you go. Sean can do
That,
it.
dude, that sounds like the freaking.
Oh, God, your dog.
Oh. Was it her claws?
Yes, you just scratched my freaking leg.
Oh,
Yeah.
come
I
here,
got
pup.
shorts on. Oh, God.
She's got some sharp talons under there, man.
Scratched me
You got
good.
you got to file those down.
Does
She
the
dug.
dog have
She
large
went-
talons?
You just got to put her in a headlock and
She like
cut those things.
dug a hole in my leg.
I gotta take her to the groomer and get those
Yeah.
clipped.
Yeah.
She doesn't mean.
Brandon's afraid to trim them now that he's.
I
accidentally
cut
her
the quick, and I'm not gonna have her bleeding all over my sheets.
Quit.
Come here,
I'm done with you now.
Edie. Come
she's
here.
not
You
allowed to
done
bleed on
pissed
the
them
You've
off.
disappointed me. I'm done
gonna
with you.
lock you out. I'll lock you out of the room. I mean, you do this every week. Come on. I gave you 2 rawhide bones. I gave her 2, and she
You gotta
ate
get
through
the
them.
great big ones.
I
yeah.
know that
Those-
keep her
those-
busy
Those aren't
because
worth a
obviously
poop.
she's just finishing them super quick.
Yeah, she's moved
She's-
on to legs. now.
she
Took the
wants
rawhide off my leg. God.
Rawhide.
if it
Rawhide.
if it drew blood, I will.
Not yet.
I'll get you a lollipop. That's all I can promise. I can't
No,
promise
we're good.
more than that.
We're okay.
So what are we discussing in vices?
We got a good one.
Yeah.
It was Sean actually you came up with the first topic. Keith, I think you brought up a broader one that encompassed
Sounded like
it.
we were both kind of thinking the same
I
thing.
had the
Yeah.
idea, and then I was in the middle of putting laundry in, and he texted
we
me.
were using
Yeah.
telepathic
Yeah.
King Ghidorah.
Yeah, the
Like-
3 heads.
We got our
Yes.
2 titans right
Yeah.
here. Titans of industry.
So he sent that one, and I was like, he sent it, and I was like, oh, that was similar to mine, and I liked it, so I let it be. But then Sean's like, oh, that's no good. And it's like, no, I think it is, because I kind of had the same idea, but
So you agree
a little
with
bit
me
broader.
because it was your idea too.
Yes.
So you were
No.
like, that's a good
It's
idea.
a great idea, Sean.
Yes, our vices topic is the vices that impact you the most. That's what we're
Is
talking
that what
about.
it was?
I mean,
In a way, yeah, because see,
vices that
For me,
impact your life the most. I
okay.
read it right.
for
I read it
me,
right.
you know, all the alcohol and cocaine really have a toe. No.
It does.
Listen, Hunter.
I mean, when you get
Don't
like
put that
Hunter
in
and
your
you're
laptop.
snorting
All the Parmesan
cheese.
cheese. I read that, by the way, because I wanted to see what he's talking. It's not like he just
Smoking
It's not like he just took
cheese.
Parmesan cheese and did. He said he was getting so desperate he would comb through the carpet and the rugs to see if he dropped any cocaine, and he would smoke whatever it was. So my thought was, so you had Parmesan in your rugs? You never vacuumed? Like you just spilled Parmesan cheese and
Well,
just
hell
left
yeah.
it?
He's Hunter Biden.
Man, he got.
He's
he
so
got-
high he didn't know it was in
Yeah.
there.
The maids knew
His
not
maid
to. Yeah,
didn't
they,
do it.
They
They
knew
were
not
like,
to
It's like you
vacuum
leave
that
that
room.
because
Leave
if there's
that
any
crumb of
cocaine,
cheese.
if there's any cocaine in the rug, he's gonna sniff it.
It's like if there's anything Biden likes, it's cocaine and Parmesan cheese.
Hell yeah, he does.
You leave that
But
for him.
I thought, you know, I know I procrastinate a lot. That probably impacts me the most. But outside of that, even like Kashan had come up with the idea of like, do you spend or save? And there's definitely
Yeah.
times I definitely save now because I'm on a tighter income than I used to be. But
Yeah.
when I made more, I know I spent more than I really needed to on cigars or
Yeah.
bourbon.
It's like when you get all this free money from the government.
That's what I'm saying.
like,
the
what
Biden
do you do
cash.
with it? Do you buy laptops or do you pay off credit card
or
debt?
buy Parmesan cheese?
I paid off some debt and
Lots
then
of
I bought.
Parmesan cheese.
I paid off debt, but I also bought The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings in 4K.
you got to treat yourself.
Because
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, if the government's going to give me free money, then I'm going to go buy something I want.
yeah.
Well, we're gonna. Yeah, exactly. It's like you got to buy something that stimulates the economy. And
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings definitely does that.
Yeah.
WB got more of your
Stimulates
money.
more than the economy.
Stimulates my little Hobbiton.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
My Hobbit came out of the Hobbit hole that day.
Wow. Sounds like you're going Helms deep.
I'm going to show you the desolation of smog.
You bow to no one. Wow.
People are watching us like, these guys are nerds.
These guys are
gay.
Nerds that have never been
Yes.
laid in their life is what they're thinking.
Sean has kids. Sean has
I have
proof.
proof.
He has proof.
There is proof
There was 2
that
times.
his ring has been in Mount Doom. Just saying.
I don't know how Billy would feel
Yeah,
about that.
but there was only 1 tower, not 2.
Shotton went into the crack of doom.
The crack of doom.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Wow.
Yeah, that's about
the
every.
Eagles are coming.
That's not the only thing.
But no, I would actually jump on that bandwagon too and say procrastination.
Yeah.
But I would also, mine is overeating. Absolutely.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I indulge way too much in terms of like, and it's really weird. It's a lot of it has morphed into just nervous eating. It's like I
Eat your feelings.
eat my feelings, or it's like, oh, I've got so much stress from just other things, and I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything right now. What can I do? I can
See,
eat.
All the
And
stress
it's
is
like
when I turn
munching.
to the cocaine. So
Well,
Yeah.
but that should just mellow you out and help you get things done.
right,
So Coke can help.
sure.
I'm just seeing Scarface
Yeah.
going to Kroger and be like, I'm gonna buy all the Parmesan cheese in the world. And just like,
And then he walks out and throws his gun in the trash can. Yeah,
Yeah.
just gets rid of it.
no, he gets out a breadstick instead of a Tommy gun.
It's like, dude is coked out.
Yes.
He thinks he's shooting people, and he's got a freaking breadstick.
It's got garlic.
It's like, oh
I
my
was
gosh,
thinking that, shooting garlic. Me and Sean are thinking too much alike.
I know
today.
it, man.
it's kind of
crazy.
scary. I ain't gonna lie.
One of us is gonna take
It's
control.
like, holy
over the
crap,
other one.
man! Did you see in there? They got free baguettes. They're just spraying everywhere.
Oh,
This show's off the rails.
Oh,
Sean, what about
no,
you?
No.
What vices impact
Um,
your life?
Well, the spending definitely.
Yeah.
My wife would attest to that. I think
Sometimes you have to have the best toys.
Yeah,
though.
that's kind of like what I was thinking too. Is like
We're the worst.
literally,
We're indulging
like
all of our vices right
it's
now.
not like we need a new TV, so let's go buy like the one we can afford.
It's like you gotta
It's
get
like
the best
I
one.
want the best one that's available right now.
Yes.
I feel that I was looking because I was being
It's
responsible.
future proof.
I was being
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, I was being responsible. I was looking at our perk stuff, the discounts we get from work,
Yeah.
to check out home and auto insurance to see if I could get cheaper insurance. But then I happened to notice that we get up to 70% off on select Samsung TVs, and I was like,
Whoa.
I don't need a TV. Well, they say up to 70% off, but when you get on there, there's none that are 70% off.
Yeah, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Well, but then what is there any that
It's
are up to?
It's up to. That means you could
What's
get
the
up that high.
highest?
I think I found one for like. I mean, I would say about almost 50. There was one that was $2,000. They had marked down to 1,000. So I'm like, yeah. But I was sitting there instead
They're
of like,
basically pulling an internet
I was
provider
I
on
was
you.
I was looking at insurance, and then I was like, well, now I kind of want to buy a new Samsung TV.
Yeah,
I
well, of
definitely know
course.
when my Vizio goes bad.
Yeah, that you can get a discount.
Right. Instead of a $2,000 TV, I'm going to buy a $4,000 TV
Well,
for
and,
$2,000.
There you go.
yeah.
Exactly. That's what Black Friday deals are all about.
Mm.
Whenever that deal would come around, it's like
know
I
if
don't
you
really
get the
need
discount
this.
on Black Friday or
No.
not.
But no. But my point is it's always that's the enticing nature of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with technology.
Yeah.
It's like you
I-
said,
I don't
gotta
need half of it.
future-proof it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the other day Best Buy. It was one day only. They had a $229 NVMe 1 terabyte
Ooh.
drive,
Mm.
like flash drive, or
Or no, was it SSD?
SSD, yeah,
M.2?
yeah, M.2.
Oh, nerd now.
it wasn't the fastest, but it was still. And I'm just like, it's $99, dude. It was $130 off.
I would have bought that.
One day only, and I was like, I want
What
to buy
brand
that.
was it? Did you have the brand?
It was
Oh my, Seaburn?
Kingston.
I don't
Yeah.
know about Kingston.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know if I
Kingston.
trust them.
But it was PCE.4.0. Like it was good. And I was just like, what could I don't even know what I'd do with that. I don't have a computer that
Well,
uses that.
I
This
was
one
gonna
does, but it's already got.
I've got one slot available, which
Just
is why I
like-
want it.
And the PS5 won't use it because it's
No.
not fast enough. So I was just like,
Well, it's funny because I actually looked into that, and that was my first. That was my first like ding. Oh wait, because those are coming out.
mhm.
They're coming out in like June or July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'll wait because I know they're gonna be like $250.
yeah, I'm gonna get
$300.
one.
Yeah.
I have to. I need one.
That's
Like,
the
it's not
problem.
I need it.
It's
There's
the
not
I
enough
don't have any
space.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to delete 2 games just to put
Yes.
the Warzone update.
I
well,
did-
that's
did too.
exactly what we've
Yeah.
been talking
When you
about.
have a freaking 50 gigabyte update,
It's so
gosh.
stupid.
Yeah.
It's annoying as hell. And I've already talked about it. It's like I'm tired of having to delete games and re-download them because freaking PlayStation and the way they install crap.
Yeah,
But-
procrastination right here on
Well,
our conversation.
And I was gonna say, and also
So-
like complaining. I complain a lot
Complain?
about technology.
I complain.
Yeah.
a
My
lot.
vices that gets pretty real. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
I complain quite a bit about things not working the way they
Sometimes it's
should.
fun.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. We're in a world of instant gratification.
Yep.
We talk about that
Oh,
before.
I know
on-
that.
on-
How
on
long has this
vices.
show been going for? Like an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my battery on this laptop was fully charged. It is about to die.
Oh,
How
wow.
old is that computer?
Like 2 years old.
You need a new one.
I'm just saying, this is the best thing that Dell offers in laptops.
That's pretty sad.
That's
I'm not even
really
going to
sad.
say how much money it cost it's
Because
stupid.
Apple
not gonna say.
MacBook Pro will definitely last a lot longer.
I know.
Yes.
I know.
And for
And I put
for
it on.
many years.
I put it on low power mode. It's got
I
23 minutes
still-
left.
Here's the thing.
That's
I
pretty bad.
just now need to like my MacBook won't hold a charge anymore, so it needs the battery replaced. But I've had it since 2010, so it's been 11 years, and it's just now
There
got
you
to
go.
the point where I need to replace
Well,
the battery.
and honestly,
This is a Dell.
see, that's every 2 to 3 years. So
Mhm.
you're right on the cusp.
Yep.
It's great.
I spent
performance,
$1,000 on my MacBook. I saved way more money than buying even a $200 every 2 years. Is
Absolutely.
going to
Yeah.
be. You
Well,
know,
and that's the thing. Like going back to the TV convo. I mean, I'll be honest. It's like it does get to a ridiculous point, but there always is that, that bare minimum level you're willing to say, okay, I can go this much in,
Yeah.
but I can't go above that. And it's almost like every time, it's always about the same amount every time, regardless of what I'm buying. But because technology and other things improve rapidly,
yeah.
it's like, okay, by the time I do need a new TV, it will be the next latest and greatest, and it'll be probably the same amount that I paid for the one that I currently got.
Mm-hmm.
So I can justify it, and I'm going to have it for about probably 10 years before I update, probably sooner. But even still, no, I agree. It's like, but I would definitely throw.
That's
you know,
true. I've had the same MacBook for 10 years, but I've had 3 different TVs in those 10 years,
Wow,
11
there you
years.
go. Yeah,
So,
and it just depends. I mean, I think we've all got our vices.
well, I had the LCD, then the LED, and now I have a 4K. I mean, I just had.
You got
you
it.
Need, you need OLED.
There you go.
The next TV I get, I want to know.
It will be
I
OLED.
think mine. I'm actually gonna wait till micro LED is popular, and that'll be like
20 years from now.
yeah. I'm gonna say
It won't be
5.
that
I'm gonna
long.
say
5, yeah.
5 years
It'd
from
be-
now.
yeah.
I think as soon as Apple computers come out with micro LED, it'll fast track. Alrighty, guys. I think that's gonna do it for this episode. But write us. Tell us what your vices are. All the vices that you have in your life. You can email us, guys. That's right. rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com. Right there at the bottom of your screen. Ain't that right, Keith?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's RM Podcast at redmoonproductions.com.
It sure is.
Wow.
Doesn't that sound sweet, Sean?
It did.
rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
I like Keith's better.
Nah, I can't do it. I
He
can't.
had a pause.
RM Podcast at redmoonproductions.com.
That's
See?
just gorgeous.
Yeah.
The way he does it, it does. It reminds me of the old Hollywood.com.
Yep.
It does.
They need the Dasaki's guy to do that.
I don't always write emails.
But when I do,
It's to rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
yeah.
Alrighty, guys, that is going to do it. At the bottom of your screen is also all of our social media: Red Moon Book, Red Moon Tweet, Red Moon Pics. Like, share, subscribe. Please follow us for any kind of social updates. And, of course, we tune into us live every single Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, on YouTube and Facebook. Hopefully we don't get canceled one of these days. But you can search for all of our videos and every...
I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what you're doing either.
I've had too much coffee.
That's the face that I'm going to
I
make
made my own
when
mocha
I pull
today.
my nose hairs out.
I got...
We didn't do that.
No,
You brought it, but
I
we got to do
brought
it on a show.
It read the box. It's going to take careful planning
Okay.
for the show. It's not just like
yeah, we
surprise.
can't
we're
It
do
is
gonna-
something we're
yeah.
going to do, though.
Yeah, we'll
We
have
will.
to do that.
We have to.
We-
I'm willing.
Okay.
I'm willing to do it on the
Well,
show.
If you're both
Okay.
going to do it, I guess I'll
You are
have
gonna
to
do
do
it.
it.
Yeah, you
I
have
bought a
to.
kit that has enough for
I don't
everybody.
approve of removing hair out of your nose because they say you're not supposed to do that. 'Cause you need the
I
hairs
know
in
it
there.
filters out pollen,
Yeah,
and I don't subscribe to that.
I'll do it after I get my second COVID shot.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, so we'll wait a while.
So we'll wait about a couple weeks. How
A
about
couple
that?
weeks. You're supposed to get it 2 weeks after your first dose.
They were the one. Look, this is Louisville. This is Louisville. How they do it. I'm literally waiting a month.
Fauci?
A month.
Dr.
Wow.
Fauci,
He's
he's
full of
flip
crap.
What
flopping.
is Bashir doing?
I don't know.
I tell you what.
It's a bunch of BS. It's a bunch
Meanwhile,
of malarkey.
Indiana's they're doing away with
Mask
mandatory
mandates
masks.
are gone.
Yeah.
As of today, they've got freedom
Yep.
up there up north.
Mm.
That's right. You know what?
Now-
a bunch
now-
of rigmarole Magoonie.
Now
is what
they
it
did
is.
say private businesses can still ask you
They
to wear
do,
a mask,
yeah.
but I
Well,
mean,
of course,
I
that's,
just,
but
I
that's
just
fine.
came.
fair,
I
yeah.
just came from Alabama, and they're free too.
Private businesses
But-
can ask me to wear an American shirt with the sleeves cut
well,
off,
most of
and
the
I'll
red
abide by
most,
it.
most of the red states are now free. So
Anyways, tune in. Watch all of our content, especially, yes, us waxing our nose hairs, coming up on a future episode, and then, of course, probably separate on our YouTube page by searching Red Moon Productions.
So we
.com.
could film that separate and just
yeah,
Yeah, we
show
could
it.
do that.
we could
We can
do
do that, kind of like the
that.
Death Nut Challenge.
kind of hard
We
to
could
do in
that.
here. I think
We
got to heat up the wax and
Okay, we could show,
Yeah.
we could edit in, some, I'll take the good old black magic here, and we'll make it look fancy.
Edit
We'll get it all
pans.
fancy.
okay.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. That's going to do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Until next time, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new hosts,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Simple Dimple Pimple Blimps Fleeting Skeeting Scat Branch.
Scat Branch.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.